Starfield is nearly here and there is so much information that you need to know before the release. In this video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know before playing Starfield so that you're fully up to speed and ready to take on the galaxy. First up, let's start at the very beginning of the game with something you'll need to do before jumping into any spaceship, that is character creation. How does character creation work and what are the key things you need to know when building your player? Well, there will be 5 main sections in the character creator: biometric ID, body, face, background, and traits. Let's break down each section. We will start in the biometric ID by choosing one of 40 preset characters that give us a general foundation for the character we want. It's important to point out here that you will be able to change how your character looks later in the game, so there's no need to worry about irreversible changes. After choosing your general character, you will then use the body and face sections of the character creator to fully customize how your player will look. What's really impressive is that Bethesda put these categories in a really simple format, but with a ton of options to make the experience look super streamlined. After you've finished designing your character's appearance, you can then choose your background. Your background is your origin story in the game and it will give you unique skills. It's important to note here that these 3 skills will not align you with any faction in particular, nor give you any negatives. This is different to the traits, which we will take a look at soon. One example from the gameplay deep dive is the cyber runner background. This will be very useful if you are creating a rogue or assassin type character, as it gives you the stealth, security, and theft starting skills. This would allow you to be able to digitally lockpick from the beginning of the game and be able to pickpocket straight away too. Finally, you will choose your 3 traits, or maybe you won't. It's entirely optional to choose a trait, and so you can choose to not take any if that's what you want to do. But why would you not want to choose a trait? Well, these traits are not skills. They will not contribute to the skill tree like your background choice will. Traits are unique to your character and they will give you negatives as well as positive effects. I personally think this is really cool and helps build depth to our characters. For example, maybe you are building quite a stoic and famous explorer and choose the hero worship trait. This will give you your very own adoring fan, which on the plus side will shower you with gifts, but on the negative side, he will follow you around and jabber at you constantly. Fun fact, the adoring fan was in the Elder Scrolls franchise and Bethesda have actually used the same voice actor in Starfield, which is really cool. Another trait which could really add some depth to the character is the introvert trait. This will actually give us more oxygen to explore planets when we are alone, but less when we are with companions. Overall, the character creation system in Starfield looks very detailed and comprehensive. One tip I would suggest is to really take your time building your character at the start of the game, as although you can change your appearance later on, you will not be able to change your background. Moving on to the story and setting of Starfield, it's definitely a very interesting one. Starfield takes place in the year 2330. Humanity has moved away from our home solar system and become a spacefaring civilization based in the settled systems with its capital of New Atlantis. The player gets invited to join an organisation called Constellation, which is based here in the settled systems. Constellation members are known as the last group of space explorers. They are an organisation aiming to explore the last areas of space that have not yet been charted, whilst uncovering the reason behind some unique mysteries along the way. Our task is to join them in this mission and help them uncover what is behind the mysterious artefacts that we can see on screen here. This will form the basis of the main storyline and it seems to be very intriguing. The really exciting part is there is definitely a lot of mysteries to uncover in this game. For example, what happened to planet Earth? We have seen a few teasers of monuments and buildings that definitely look like they're on Earth, but it's surrounded by a barren wasteland. I look forward to learning about what happened to Earth whilst also uncovering the mysterious artifacts and discovering what they really mean. The main way that you'll get to uncover these artifacts is, of course, by exploration. Bethesda is known for creating impressive worlds full of depth, such as in the Fallout and Elder Scrolls series, but Starfield takes open world to a whole new level. Now, there are many different aspects of exploration, but I will focus on 2 main ones: the scale of the explorable universe and the different areas or factions that we can uncover. Let's start with the scale. Todd Howard has confirmed that we can visit display over 1,000 planets in Starfield. This is insane. Imagine having 1,000 rooms in a game to explore, with each room being huge. This begs the question, how have they managed to do this? Well, many of the planets have been procedurally generated, but there are also lots that have been specifically handcrafted so that we will not have to worry about barren worlds that look the same. Each one will have its own resources or unique points of interest to explore in their relevant solar systems. Todd also confirms that around 10% of these planets will have life on them, so we can expect around 100 planets with aliens on them. All of the solar systems which contain these planets are split between a few different factions. First up, we have the United Colonies. These are the law-abiding factions descendant from Earth that occupy a big area in the settled systems. There will be lots of cities here and lots of side quest opportunities. Next up, we have the Freestar Collective. These are a faction that are more isolationist than the United Colonies, but nevertheless have many solar systems under their control. From the deep dive, they look more of a gunslinger type faction where you might be able to pick up some more interesting crewmates to join you. Next up, we have the Crimson Fleet. These are the stereotypical bad guy faction that are basically space pirates focused on looting and harassing the settled systems. You will be given the opportunity to join them in their deeds if you so wish, or potentially turn them into one of the good factions. These three factions are the main groups we will encounter in Starfield, but there are some others that we will come into contact with when exploring too. One of these is, of course, Neon, a cyberpunk city-state that is owned by the Xenofresh Corporation, priding itself on being a pleasure city. Second, we have Region Industries, which is a mega corporation with a really good early game bonus. Thirdly, we have the House of Var-Un, who are a sort of cult faction that worship the Great Serpent. Each of these factions will have all their own quest lines, which makes exploration that much better, as we can really explore different factions and dedicate ourselves to different groups in the game. Overall, the exploration looks insane, especially with the sheer amount of content that will be available in all of the planets combined with all of the quests, and I am super excited. In order to fly around the solar system, you're gonna need a spaceship. Spaceship flight and space building are some of the most highly anticipated gameplay features in Starfield, and it's hard not to see why. Bethesda have put a crazy amount of detail into the shipbuilding mechanic. We know there are a ton of designs available. One that I can't wait to see is the Gorilla, a giant flying sandwich. After purchasing your first ship from a spaceport, you can gradually then customise, upgrade and design it to how you like. One of the main modules you want to upgrade is the grav drive. This means you can make bigger space jumps across the galaxy. Having a bigger fuel tank will help with this, and you won't have to stop at the spaceports to refuel as often. There are so many parts of the ship you can change, such as the colour of the ship, the weapons, cockpit, reactor, cargo hold, bay, landing gears and even more. The wide variety of customisation available means you can build your spaceship to suit your playstyle. You could be a space pirate hunting down other spaceships, adding them to your fleet. If you wanted to do this, you should place a bigger focus on your weapons system. Laser weapons deal damage to shields, ballistic weapons deal damage to the hull, and missile weapons damage a ship's systems, each with different range and fire rates. On the other hand, if you want to explore planets as fast as possible with a more passive approach, you could focus on making a lighter and faster spaceship. It's important to note here that the shipbuilding is not a realistic sim. The modules will fit together kind of like Lego. However, you do need to pay careful attention to some of the stats. For example, if your ship is too heavy, you will need to upgrade the engine to have enough power to take off. Moving on to the interior of the ship, you can add crafting stations as well as modules for storing and displaying your weapons. You can also customise the design of the living quarters, cargo holds, mess halls, and the control rooms. Now, one super important aspect of your ship that's not to be overlooked is your crew. Starfield will have proper companions that will help you maintain your ship. The Constellation members will join you on board for your journey, and each companion comes with their own unique set of skills and quests. If you want even more people on board, you can always add new habitat modules to increase the capacity for crew. If you're finding all of this a little intimidating, then don't worry. There will be a menu where you can make quick upgrades to your ship, as well as a more in-depth shipbuilder mode for those who really want a deep dive into the shipbuilding mechanic. Another big gameplay feature we've got to talk about is combat, and it looks incredible. The first person shooter approach looks super fun, and I think it works really well with the space theme. The most exciting part about combat, however, is the insane amount of weapon variety to choose from. Bethesda have confirmed there are more weapons and gun modifications in Starfield than any other game they have made. From different rifles, laser guns, shotguns, submachine guns, revolvers, and pistols, there's a massive amount of guns to choose from. For a stealthier approach, you can use sniper rifles as well as suppressors. There's also close combat weapons such as knives and axes, as well as good old fists for melee attacks. Now, the guns are split into two different categories, physical and energy. Physical are all ballistic and magazine-based weapons, whereas the energy weapons are laser and particle beam firearms that should be reserved for zero-gravity scenarios as they don't produce any recoil. What's really cool is when there's a lack of gravity, you can jump up high using a boost pack to shoot down at enemies or gain advantageous ground. As with your character and your ship, you can also have fun customizing your weapons in Starfield. This is where the crafting station will come in handy. You can change the stats, appearance and functionality if you want to. In order to mod your weapons, you'll have to collect the relevant resources and acquire the blueprints to craft that mod. With so many weapons and mods to choose from, you will be able to find the right combat style to suit you in Starfield. The final thing that you need to know about Starfield before playing is the system requirements and the different editions. Starfield will only be playable on Xbox and PC, and there's 3 different editions in total, so let's take a look. The standard edition comes with the game itself and a cosmetic bonus if you pre-order. On Xbox, the standard edition costs £69, whereas it's only £59 on Steam for PC. Moving up a level, the premium edition does come with 5 days early access if you pre-order, as well as the Constellation skin pack and digital soundtrack and art book. That's not it, however, you also automatically get access to Starfield Shattered Space upon its release, the first story expansion for Starfield. For Xbox, this will cost you £99 or £86 on Steam. Moving on to the most expensive edition of Starfield, the Collector's Edition will set you back £249. This includes everything in the other editions, as well as a smartwatch from the game, a Constellation patch and a steelbook display case. Compared to the Hogwarts Legacy Collector's Edition, I think Starfield is better value for money in terms of what you get. However, you do not get the limited edition Xbox headset or controller as part of any edition. Now, what's really important to know is Starfield will be on Game Pass on day 1, so if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you will have full access on September 6th. Moving on to the PC requirements, they are pretty hefty, so my fellow PC players, please make sure you check your specs before purchasing the game. Firstly, you'll absolutely need an SSD to run the game, even on minimum requirements, as well as 125GB space available. Here you can see both the minimum and recommended requirements needed to run Starfield. Overall, it will be a CPU intensive game due to its engine and use of AI, so it would be best to make sure your processor will be able to handle the game. And that's everything that you need to know about Starfield before the release. If you want to join me on my Starfield journey, then be sure to check out my Twitch channel linked in the description below, as I'll be streaming with the early access from September 1st. Do let me know in the comments what you're most looking forward to in Starfield. Please don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy watching, and subscribe to the channel for more Starfield content and gaming news. As always, thank you for watching, see you next time.